You can be doing everything right, eating well, getting great sleep, working out, and you can still feel like you are dragging throughout the day. That is me. And when I finally got my lab work done, my doctor said it was normal. But here's what a friend reminded me and kind of changed everything. Normal does not mean optimal. Hey there. If you're new here, I'm Sarah. I'm a nutrition and health coach plus personal trainer who lost 65 pounds over a decade ago after overcoming disordered eating in my teens and my very early 20s. Now I am 36. I'm postpartum and doing all the right things, but I've been stuck. I've been walking more, lifting more, eating more mindfully, sleeping better, and yet the fatigue, the skin breakouts, the brain fog, the weight, all still here. So I decided to stop guessing and start investigating. And this video is part two of that journey. So if you missed part one, I'll link it below. But today I am breaking down my first round of lab results, a visit to a new doctor, and why I am taking a deeper, more holistic path, even when modern medicine offered me a shortcut. So the results are in. And guess what? Everything came back as normal. But as my friend said, normal does not mean optimal. So let's go through it. So there were three different tests that I had my OBGYN run. These three tests had pointed to low energy for me. If anything was like off, it was, going back to these. But anyway, thyroid, TSH, or thyroid stimulating hormone. This will test whether or not I have an underactive thyroid or hypothyroidism, which runs in my family. Then I asked for vitamin D, a vitamin D test. That test, again, will, if it's low, that could mean like contribute to like low energy. And then CBC is a test that the OBGYN ran. And this one, I'd asked her to test my iron because I have a history of anemia. Again, something, if iron is low, that could also point to just having low energy. So let's break down the results that I got. For the TSH, the I would say conventional medicine norm is between 0.35 and 4.94. Mine came back as 3.71, which was kind of surprising because I'm tired, I'm foggy, and like I'm still shedding hair. So it's like raising some red flags, but again, came back normal. Then my vitamin D. So the normal range is between 20 and 100. Again, this came back normal, but my result was 24. So it is on the low end of that spectrum. So this is something I think that I need to focus on moving forward. The next test was the iron test, or the CBC, complete blood count. Again, I'm not a doctor. So some of this stuff, like I don't know what it means, but MCH came back as being slightly high. But again, the doctor said, even though that read abnormal, she came back and said, everything looks normal. I want to go deeper into this. I want to dig deeper because, again, normal is not optimal. So I thought, okay, I need to meet with a primary care physician. This is what happened during that meeting. So I haven't seen a primary care physician in years. I'm talking about like probably pre-COVID. It may have even been like during 2020. So what I did, I kind of called around to see which doctors I could get in with. And to be honest, there were like no appointments available unless I wanted to wait 3 months out. But I found one person, a woman who's like 30 minutes away. I'm like, you know what, I can make that work. So I got the earliest appointment I could, even though I'd never seen this provider before. And I kind of laid it all out. I said, listen, I am tired all of the time. I'm moving more, I'm doing things to nourish my body that I wasn't doing before, but just something isn't right. I don't understand like why I'm feeling like the way I am. She listened and to her credit, she ordered a long list. I have it right here. I'm going to read from it. Okay, so a comprehensive metabolic panel, hemoglobin A1C, iron, ferritin, transferrin, and CALCTIBC. I don't know what any of this is, by the way, but it was interesting because when she said she was going to do the iron test, I'm like, well, I thought I already had that done. She's like, no, that was a complete blood count. That's a little bit different. So she ran a lipid panel. She did a microalbumin with creatine ratio, a urinalysis with a reflex culture, vitamin B1, whole blood, vitamin B12 with folate, vitamin B6. So she really touched on a lot of different tests there that, again, especially those B vitamins that could be contributing to overall energy or lack thereof. That was a great experience in the sense of like she was very thorough with all of that. But then our conversation kind of took an unexpected turn. So I am in the room meeting with this new primary care provider when she looks at my chart and she says, your BMI is 30.65. You qualify as obese. That is not the first time I've ever heard that. I was 204 pounds at my heaviest weight and most unhealthiest self, I would say, mentally, physically, emotionally, all of it. And I was just kind of taken aback by like, she's focused on BMI. I will talk about BMI later. But the next thing really got me. She said, have you considered weight loss medication? And here's the thing, like her suggestion came before any test results were back. There was no context to it. There was no curiosity. It was just like, want to try a drug? Like, I didn't know it was that easy. I kind of stared at the wall ahead of me and I'm like, I want to take a little more of a holistic approach. And she said, okay, we can do that. Not a problem. So before I dive into weight loss meds and my take on it, I need to be super clear. There are people that I love. So they're clients, there are friends who I know have used or are using the GLP-1 drugs like Ozempic or Wegovy. And for some of these people, like it has truly been life-changing. I've not only seen like the physical like results of it for them, but also in terms of like their mood and things like that, and how they feel about their smaller body. But for others who have lost weight, but then didn't have accessibility to the drug anymore, they gain that weight back plus some. Some of these people have not addressed changing their eating habits or their relationship with food. So nothing internally has shifted for them. You know, if again, if that drug goes away, could result in just ending up back in the same patterns as they had before, sometimes even worse. And others I've talked to have just been nauseous, like to the point of where like they can't eat and there's such low energy and essentially losing weight through starvation. That's my viewpoint. Now, with this, when I think about the nausea all the time, or not being able to eat foods that I would normally love, or the smell of food just turning me off so much and turning my stomach, and being tired and cranky and low energy and borderline malnourished, like it reminds me of my first trimester of pregnancy. I have zero interest in revisiting that season of my life voluntarily, especially not for weight loss. Going back to being malnourished, which I think happens a lot with some of the people that I've seen take these drugs. When your body's not being nourished, it means that, yes, you might lose fat, but you're most likely losing muscle mass. And muscle mass is what drives your metabolism in a lot of ways. So if you lose too much muscle, not only do you feel weaker, physically, but you are slowing down your metabolism. And this makes it easier to regain the weight later and also harder to keep it off. But with that, like I will say, I'm not anti-medication because, again, for some people, it has been really a really helpful tool. A tool is only as useful as the skill set behind it. And what I mean by that is if you are stuck in an all or nothing mindset, whether you're on the wagon or off the wagon, like there's no in between, or if you haven't addressed your relationship with food or the way that you speak to yourself, like, and about your body, if you don't address binge and restrict eating cycles, and you're using the medication to skip meals instead of learning how to fuel your body properly throughout the day, then even the best weight loss medication can become, again, in what I believe, a band-aid for a much deeper wound. For someone who has had a history of an eating disorder, that is a dangerous door to reopen. And again, I'm not here to demonize the medication. I do think that it needs to be talked about. And I think it needs to be talked about in terms of like the cost, not only financial cost, but the emotional, the mental, and the physical cost of taking it. Because at the end of the day, yes, it might get you to a certain number on the scale. It might change, if you're, diabetic, it might change those numbers and improve those numbers for you, or if you have high cholesterol, whatever it may be. But at the end of the day, I don't believe that weight defines health. Being skinny does not equal healthy. And health, at the end of the day, for me especially, is about nourishment. It's about strength. It's about energy. It's about emotional regulation. It's about connection to your body. I believe that the path to real lasting change, it doesn't start in a prescription bottle. Not for me, anyway. It starts in my small daily choices, day in, day out. And that's where I'm choosing to focus my energy. I talked about BMI earlier, and I really don't like it. Here's why. If you've ever been to a doctor, I am sure that you have heard of BMI or body mass index. What this means is that it is a weight to height ratio. So basically, this number gives you an idea of where you land, whether you are underweight, normal weight, overweight, or obese. I am currently obese, according to my doctor. I'm like just on that tail end between the overweight and obese category. With that, I think it's total BS. I think it's outdated. And the reason is because it does not take into consideration your overall body composition. I am someone who works out. I am someone who has a good amount of muscle. So, muscle, which does not weigh more than fat, a pound is a pound is a pound. Muscle is more dense than fat. But my weight, my gravitational pull towards the earth, my weight on that scale does not determine what my body composition is. That's why I don't like BMI. To be honest, when you think that something is wrong and things come back normal, it sucks. What I'm doing to stay grounded is just making sure that I'm still nourishing my body. I'm not like over analyzing my meals. I am trying to get movement in more consistently. I am checking in on my mindset. Otherwise, staying connected has been really important to me. So, making sure that I am staying connected with family that truly makes me happy, and making dates with my friends so that I can see them, but also staying connected to you. I think that it's just really important for me to like show up and share my experience because, again, as a personal trainer and nutrition and health coach, like this postpartum season is something I never thought I would deal with in the way that I have. With that, here's what you can expect next time. In the next video, I'm super excited to share my latest round of lab results. I think, again, you're going to be surprised by what I find. And I'm also going to be sharing how we can get rid of BMI and focus on overall body composition instead. I'm going to be sharing this scan that I think is like life-changing and that really helped improve just the way that I know not only look at my body, but the way that I train. So the way that my workouts go. And I'm also going to be sharing some of the habit changes and nutritional shifts that I am making based on my current lab results, especially that low vitamin D. So stay tuned for all of that good stuff. While I don't have all the answers just yet, I am getting a little bit closer with each passing day. And if you are a mom who finds yourself in the same season, or you're someone who has done all of the right things, but you still feel stuck, hit subscribe. Know you are not alone, and I will be sharing my journey. So the test results, the workouts, the meals, the messy middle, and everything in between. And know that moms matter too. And if you don't show up for you, who's going to show up for them? While you're here, make sure you grab my 7-day free meal plan, train with me in the RepKey Fitness app, or check out Purple Carrot Meals when you don't want to think about what's for dinner. Thanks for being here. Until next time, let's get strong, bold, and healthy together.